Hi, fellow athletic trainers. In this presentation, I'm going to go over our signature assignment for our course. And the assignment is called Athletic Training Administration and Organization Issue Presentation, and it's worth 100 points. Well, actually, I'm going to go over the form and threaded discussion too. So the presentation is worth 100 points. And I've set up a scenario for you for your assignment that you're going to do a presentation at your local district, NATA district annual clinical symposia, and you're going to address a specific topic about administration and organization. So something to do with athletic training and administration and organization. Now, the topic is up to you. I want you to pick something that you are interested to learn more about. So I have a list of a bunch of topics here. You don't have to pick one of these. You can, that's fine. If there's something else that you're interested in on the administration side of things in athletic training, pick that topic. Just a couple things that I've noticed with students on this assignment in the past, that students will address the topic not from an administration viewpoint. So make sure that when you are addressing, and I'll talk about it in more detail in a second, the topic, it has to be administration. There's some areas that can be educational, or some of the other parts of our athletic training, but this is all administration. Now, while we're talking about topics, in week 1 of our course, you'll see that I have a form here where you're actually watching this video, which when I click on it, you won't see the video because I'm recording the video. But what I want you to do this week is I want you to pick your topic and pick the week that you're doing your presentation. The time that I'm recording this presentation, we have 2 weeks that we're doing our presentation. Week 3, your presentation is due on November 3rd, and then the week following that, you'll actually facilitate that discussion, and it'll be your role to post your presentation, post questions, and then when students start responding to your answers, your questions, then you respond back to them. There's a mistake in the video, but it will be fixed by the time you see this in class. But you'll facilitate the discussion from November 4th through the 8th. And if you're doing the presentation in week 6, it's due on December 4th, and then you facilitate the discussion from December 5th through the 9th. Notice, we only have 6 total students in this class, and so I am limiting week 3 to 3 students and week 6 to 3 students. This is first come, first serve. You pick your topic, you pick your week. If all week 3s are taken, you have to take week 6. Those are the choices, week 3 or week 6. So people who get their stuff turned in first get to choose their topic first and their week first. Once a topic is picked, nobody else can pick their topic. So what I want you to do in the form is put your topic in when you post a new discussion topic, excuse me, in the subject area, I want you to put your topic and the week. And then in here, tell me what the topic is again and what the week is. Okay, get out of this, cancel. So again, that's done this week. The sooner you get your topic picked and your week picked, the better off you'll be. All right. So let's go on and talk about this assignment a little bit more. So you have the choice to either develop a audio presentation, a 30 to 40 minute audio presentation, using any creative method. In our course, I have some links to how to do some online presentations, all these different things you can use. You can click on those links and learn more about some different audio presentations. Or if you don't want to do that, you can write a 13 to 16 page paper. Whatever, either the audio presentation or the paper, that has to be attachable and Moodle in the form. If you're going to do your audio presentation, you might want to think about something that you can actually upload to like YouTube and link it in. Because sometimes when you're uploading some of these presentations, and we can have some problems with it timing out. And I'll talk about that just a little bit. So when you write your paper or do your presentation, you need to make sure you include the following sections of your presentation. Remember that you are presenting at a NATA conference, and so this is the format that the conference requires. I want you to start your presentation with a paper with an interesting scenario or interesting introduction. So you're going to provide the audience with a realistic and interesting scenario where you make up a story that addresses the specific administration factor. Okay, so that's 2 paragraphs worth 5 points. Then your next section, which is a big part of your paper, I'm going to say paper and presentation interchangeably here. Means the same thing, just so you know. So it's 4 to 5 pages, 25 points of the 100. So I want you to provide me and others in your class, pretend that they have no background in that particular topic. Say that you picked the topic of third-party reimbursement. What is third-party reimbursement about? Explain it so that somebody has no understanding on what third-party reimbursement for athletic trainers. What does that mean? What's that mean? What does the literature tell us about that? About third-party reimbursement, especially since this has been changing. It's rapidly changing over the last 5 to 10 years. What's going on in other areas of healthcare? What about physical therapists? What about physician assistants or physician extenders? All those other things. What else do we know about third-party reimbursement? Now, remember, this is from an administration viewpoint. How does this affect us from the administration of being a third-party reimbursement? How does this affect the administration of doing that? If you were going to try to do this at a college setting, for example, how would you go about doing this as the chief administrator of the sports medicine program at your college? So the next section is, so for third-party reimbursement, how has this factor been used or not been used in athletic training programs? That should be fairly easy to write some of that, because in some ways it hasn't been used at all, and in some ways at some places it has been used. So explain that to the rest of us. How has that factor been used and how has it not been used? What makes this factor very difficult, or easy to use as an athletic trainer? Again, we're addressing an administration topic, so we have to think about it from our administration hat. Some of you may have little experience in the administration side of things, so you may need to talk to some administrators who've been being a head athletic trainer or been an assistant AD or one of those type of roles that have been doing administration for a while, about some of these topics, to learn more about it, in addition to what you learned through the literature. Now, in the next section, I also want you to address how could you use this factor, or how have you used this factor as an athletic trainer? What's your experience in this particular administration factor? Again, I have 4 to 5 pages there, so this paper is getting long. This presentation is getting long. I provide the page numbers even though you may not be writing a paper, but you should have a script when you do your presentation, and that script should be about that long. And the next section is how can this issue be resolved or made better. If we're doing third-party reimbursement, what are some ways that we can actually use third-party reimbursement in our athletic training practice at the various levels? What are some recommendations would you make to the rest of us on how to actually be reimbursed for the athletic training services that we provide our patients? So that's what that section's about. That's 1 to 2 pages. And the last one is always finish your paper or presentation with a conclusion. As they say, good presentation skills or good writing, you first tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you just told them, and that's the conclusion. I want you to use the administration textbook and at least 5 additional references. Remember, we want peer-reviewed journal articles or other textbooks to support your ideals. You are allowed to use material from the NATA website and the NATA news, because that is our organization's material, and so you can use that material. It may not be necessarily peer-reviewed journal articles, but material from the NATA on our website and on any of the resources on the NATA website is usable for us. Make sure you cite those references. Even if you are doing a presentation, you still should cite your references in your presentation. And if you are doing the audio presentation option, one requirement that I do have is when you turn that in, let's go back to our course here. You will turn in that assignment here. That's where you'll turn in the paper or PowerPoint presentation or whatever you're doing here in this assignment link. And I also want you to turn in an APA formatted reference page for me. Now, if you're doing a paper, you're going to provide that anyways. But if you're doing an audio presentation, I want the presentation and a reference page turned in there. For the students who are writing the paper, these are the formatting requirements. You can read that on your own. It's pretty much the same requirements for every assignment that I have in my class. If you're doing audio presentations, I do expect you to be an engaging presenter. I don't want you just to have a whole bunch of text on the slide and just read it to us. That's horrible presentation. We've all had those presenters, teachers, and I don't want that. So you should have bullet points and explain to your audience the material. If you don't know how to do a good presentation, go online and learn about it. Google does have a size limit of 2 gigabytes, which is a good size file. But if you try to upload that, if you're connected to Wi-Fi or not hardwired through your Ethernet, it probably will time out. That's why I was saying earlier, you may want to be able to see if you can turn your presentation into a movie file and upload it to YouTube and then link that YouTube video like I do in the class, because it may work better that way. But if you can be hardwired in, that'd be good too. That's another way to upload stuff. Now, I have a rubric for you in Appendix A. I'm going to scroll down to that rubric. I'm not going to go over that in detail. I just want you to make you aware of the rubric. So this is the rubric that I'll use. So I would recommend that you read the exceeds the criteria, because that's where you want to be on each one of these sections. And this is how I will grade you for this assignment. And let's go to the next part of the assignment. So you do your presentation either week 3 or week 6. I'll grade you on that. That's worth 100 points. The next 25 points is that you actually upload your presentation and ask 2 to 4 open-ended questions or statements in the form for other students to respond to. That's worth 15. And then your responsibility is to keep the discussion going. When students answer your question, you should go back and read the other students' answers and keep that thread going. And so you'll be assessed on how you keep that thread going. That's 25 points. And then we will have a threaded discussion with each student in class. So if you're presenting week 3, you have to listen to or read the other students' papers, another 2, because it's a total of 3. So other 2 students' paper or presentation, and respond to their questions, and also go back after they respond to your response, go back and reply to their response. So we're having a threaded discussion here. And so we'll have, again, 2 weeks of this at the end of week 3, going in week 4, week 6, and presentation, the threaded discussion through week 7. So every student, regardless of you're presenting or not presenting, will read and or listen to the other students' posted presentation. It's only 2 other presentations. So if you're not presenting that week, it's 3. So it's not that bad. Whereas if we had 15 students, then I would have you do less. So if you have any questions about this particular assignment, please post it in the Q&A forum. Again, this week, in week 1 of our course, pick your topic, pick your week. And I will let you know if I approve your topic. If you pick one of these, I'm going to obviously approve it, improve your week. If you have to change your week, it's your responsibility to find somebody else to take your place. And I look forward to your presentations. Actually, in week 2 of our class, you're going to be watching a presentation, so you have some kind of idea what something like this looks like. And from a student who did a presentation on athletic training abuse.